All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to MazzaMedia. We are live. It is Sunday, June 14th, 2026, and it is a hot summer day out there for sure, but we are live here on YouTube today. So good to see everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. I'm excited to be back. I had planned to do a show yesterday. My Friday night was just jam-packed with a lot of fun, a lot of great times. And I woke up on Saturday and I was like, yeah, I don't feel like doing anything. So I decided not to do anything except rest all day, have fun, leisure, do some great stuff and all that. If it's breaking up a bit, please leave the stream and come right back in. That should hopefully resolve the matter. And that's usually what happens. Lori Mullen, good to see you. Yes, Tracy V's here. Good to see you. So many great people here. No Word Salads here. Very good to see everybody. The MazzaMedia merch store is now open. The link is at the bottom of the chat. I'm going to be going over that link during the show today to kind of reveal those shirts. There's shirts and hats. There's two different versions of it. Sarah B. Creative's coming in from Maine. We got someone from Arizona, Superstition Man, 110 degrees out west. All right, I can't read that name, but that's funny. The lawyer you redacted. Can't say that. Yeah, thank you so much. It's good to be back. It's been about a week since I've been live. Probably going to be live. I think the North Andover Select Board meeting's tomorrow, so I might do a show tomorrow. Lori's in the chat. I might actually reach out to Lori to see if she wants to come on after to talk about the latest Kelsey Justin filings. We'll see. I'll reach out to her later today about that, see if that's something we want to do, if we can make that work or not, if availability is there. I got tomorrow off, so I'm happy about that. I got tomorrow off, so I don't have to work tomorrow. Happy about that. I got my cranberry lime seltzer water with me today. That is the drink of the week or the day. Rami's in the house. Yep, the merch store is now open, ladies and gentlemen. Last Sunday, I spent a lot of time on it. I just was touching everything up. There was actually a little thing I noticed about one of the logos. They were off center. I fixed them on every item, which was great. So I was happy to get that done. Emily C is in the house. She's drinking a peach seltzer. Perfect. Yeah, I'll let you know. Probably 7:15 to 7:30. I'd imagine if the select board's going on, that it's probably just going to be Audrey, and then we just follow the public comment, and then that's it, and then we'll just see what Audrey has to say if it's going tomorrow, and then I'm not sure if anybody else is going to show up besides her. Audrey seems to be the only one in that town that wants to speak out, and I just don't think it's going to become a Canton thing, like with Canton having regulars that continuously take on their select boards, but no problem. Yeah, just a little bit of rest and all that. So I got to see a full question. Yeah, a little bit of rest and everything was definitely needed yesterday. I just woke up and I was like, I was telling everybody on Friday night, I'm like, yeah, I got some things to do tomorrow. Then I woke up yesterday, I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing anything except maybe swimming and hitting the weights and all that. So yeah, thank God for Audrey indeed. We got a lot to talk about. There's a lot to talk about here. We got Karen Reed and Adam Deitch. We got Michael Proctor. We have the MazzaMedia merch store. We have the New York Knicks fans reacting. We have Carmelo Anthony. There might even be some Turtleboy stuff to go over. So I'm just gonna play it as I go here today. I have my short list. I keep track of a list of throughout the week. There's only really do a show once a week. And if it's not a fundraiser, then I don't always do a show like this. So I usually just note things throughout the week that I want to talk about and then get into it. So just like I'll note down a name. So I want to talk about Carmelo Anthony to open up this story. This was a story I wasn't really following until this week. But that was the more and more I learned about this story, I was like, my God, this is absolutely wild. I didn't realize that this had happened basically during a meet. And that basically, I think Austin Metcalf had shoved him, then he pulled out a knife and stabbed him to death. I didn't know like that's where this happened. I did not know much about this story at all. But the only thing I'll say is I felt that this was a very cut and dry story. I didn't think that this is a story that was I didn't find it controversial in a sense that the ruling was controversial. I felt like this was your typical story of just somebody pulling out a knife and stabbing somebody to death, or stabbing them and they died. I didn't really find it any more complex than that. Quite honestly, I'm glad I didn't really take too much time following the story, if much at all. Honestly, most of the time I followed the story was at lunch or in the evenings when, the deliberation was happening. It was a quick deliberation. But again, I didn't think that this story was really anything beyond. I didn't see anything controversial with the ruling, is kind of my attitude about this case. I felt like it was, I just felt that the fact he had a knife on him was controversial. Because I'm like, why does he have a knife? What does he have a knife on him for? And additionally, if that kid had shoved him, he could have shoved him back, punched him in the face, fought him. Anything else beyond stabbing him and killing. So that's kind of where I stood with this. Was I felt that Carmelo, if he felt a need to counterattack or fight back or attack this kid or whatever, he could have done a couple of other things before he pulled out a knife and stabbed him and killed him. And if he had done that, that would have avoided what ended up happening. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I looked at that particular case. So I am somebody, I never did track, but I did cross country. I did basketball. So I was a part of a lot of meets with cross country. But I didn't, from a sports guy, him being in the tent, that's like usually like, usually with like track, I don't know how track is compared to cross country. Cross country, I used to have the district meets, and usually there's never any beef between cross country teams, at least when I grew up. Not in Massachusetts where I live. Usually it'd never be like, man, you're from another town. No, there's never be anything like that. There'd never be any like territorial stuff. But this seemed interesting because it seemed like he was asked to leave the tent multiple times. And then basically he was finally shoved by Austin Metcalf. And then Carmelo pulled out a knife and ended his life, basically. So I thought that would have been ill-advised, just because teams usually are to themselves before a meet. Usually, any race I've ever been at, you'll just see like groups of teams in their own sections all across the fields or whatever the location is. I just thought that was, again, cut and dry because of a few reasons. If Carmelo came to them, he was asked to leave after a while. It could suggest that he was potentially agitating them, potentially. Maybe they had a previous conflict. I don't know. But I just felt that this. If there was no knife involved, this just would have been your typical fight or brawl or scuffle. It could have got to that point. But it didn't. It wouldn't have if it wasn't for a knife being involved. Anytime you have a knife, a gun, anything that's a potentially life-ending weapon, utensil, whatever you want to call it, that's when this goes over the top. You know what I'm saying? There could have been a lot of ways that this could have happened. But once you pull out a knife, the first question is, why do you have a knife? You're at a meet. Why do you have a knife? So that's number one, that raises a red flag for me right off the bat. Why do you have a knife? Now, I understand why there may be some justification. Perhaps where he lives, I don't know. Maybe there might have been a need to have a knife on him at all times to protect himself. I don't know. But when you're bringing that stuff to a race, usually, at least in Massachusetts, at least when I grew up, I'm of the understanding that when we went on team buses to team events, you couldn't have anything like that. I don't know if the law is different out there. I don't know. But I'd imagine they probably have some kind of law where you can't bring a weapon or any kind of knife or whatever. Once you have that on you, you're more likely to use it. Because honestly, I remember the movie Harsh Times. I'm probably only one of 3 people that's actually seen that movie. But once it's like Freddie Rodriguez said to Christian Bale, he goes, I don't carry a gun. And Christian Bale goes, why? And he goes, Freddie Rodriguez says, because I'd use it. You know what I'm saying? And that typically can happen sometimes. Like, oh, I got a knife. Let me pull it out and stab this guy. That could happen as well. I don't know. But I didn't feel like, based on what I've heard from Metcalf and the fact that he shoved Carmelo, I didn't feel that pulling out a knife and killing him would be justified as self-defense. Now, if you know, they were beating Carmelo, Austin and a few other people were beating Carmelo beyond the point of him even having a likely outcome of survival, he pulled out a knife and happened to stab the guy in self-defense and then veer off a little bit, like, leave me alone, maybe self-defense would have been more justifiable. But it's like anything. It's like if someone walks up to somebody and just slaps them across the face, they pull out a 9mm, bang. You know, that's not justified self-defense. You know, I'd have to say your life would actually have to be on the line for you to use that knife as self-defense. You know, there could be an argument made, well, I just tried to stab him. I didn't try to stab him and kill him. But once you do stab someone with a knife, I mean, there's no telling what is going to be the outcome of that. You know, once you stab somebody, there's no telling what's going to happen once you stab someone. It's going to depend on where you stab them, how you stab them. If you stab them in the lung, you know, if you stab them in the heart, you know, where you stab them is going to have a different outcome on whether they live or die or whether they can survive or not. So I just felt overall that pulling out a knife and stabbing him was not justifiable self-defense. I felt that, again, I mean, if Carmelo wanted to say, hey, look, you shoved me, or there's a scuffle, you know, if you wanted to punch him in the face, shove him or whatever, well, that's that. You know, that eventually gets broken up. You know, it's a standard typical fight that happens all over the country, all over the world, day in and day out. You know, but then for Carmelo, you know, now you don't have to go to court. Now you don't have to go to prison, you know, because you haven't stabbed somebody. You know what I mean? So that all in all, to me, is, again, unjustifiable self-defense. It's not even self-defense at all. And I don't agree with his decision-making on that. I think he could have done other things if he felt the need to get back or whatever it was. I don't know what the argument was about. I think they just wanted Carmelo to get away. Carmelo wouldn't do it. It's like, you know, you don't pull out a knife. You know, you don't pull it out unless your life's on the line. Unless you're just feeling like, hey, these guys are going to kill me. The guy's choking me to death. You know, I got to pull out a knife just to stab this guy to get him off me. You know, maybe that's more justifiable. But in this particular situation, I don't feel like it was. And I think the jury, you know, the jury deliberated quick. They had their verdict within hours. You know, they were very clear about their decision. And that decision was guilty, you know, of basically murder or manslaughter. And that's just what, you know, what it comes down to at the end of the day. And it sucks to see this stuff happen. It does. It's nothing that we ever want to see happen to anybody, you know, in any way, shape, or form. But like I said, you know, the old days of fighting in our country, if somebody shoves you, you shove them back. If they punch you, you punch them back. If they kick you, you kick them back. You know, if they pull out a knife, you pull out a knife. You know, it's just, there has to be a measure to it. But if, like I said, if someone's pushing you and you pull out a knife and bam, you know, it gets ugly, you know, and it gets out of hand quick. And sometimes these things are a lot more intense with teenagers because the teenagers, for a couple of reasons, you know, the hormones are just higher. Everything's more intense when you're a teenager. I remember being a teenager myself. I look back now at things I thought were so intense to me. I'm not talking about violence, but just everything. You know, you just react to everything more crisply when you're a teenager. Everything's just more heightened when you're more serious when you're a teenager. You know what I'm saying? And then when you grow up, you get past that. To some degree, you know, but that's also an issue too. It's just teenagers. Things are more dramatic. They're more intense. They're more reactive. They're more confrontational in that sense, you know, and this is what happens. So it's a sad story all around. It really is tragic. I hate to see it. You know, but, like I said, you know, having a knife is legal. Using that knife in that situation is not justified. And that's really what the jury, you know, ruled on here. So again, just a tough situation to see play out. Obviously, there's a lot of reaction across the country that variates a little bit on this matter. But I just feel like, you know, looking at it directly to the point, you know, if there's no knife involved, we're not talking about the story. If there's no knife involved, there's no death. If there's no knife involved, there's no, you know, Carmelo on the stand for murder. You know, that's all because of that knife. You know, at the end of the day, if you choose to use a knife in that manner, you kill somebody, this is what ends up happening. And that's how I look at this. And again, You know, was Metcalf out of line for shoving him? You know, probably that was ill-advised too. You know, probably you shouldn't shove somebody. I don't know what led to him shoving Carmelo in the first place, but, you know, at the end of the day, you know, you look at everything, break it all down. You know, it seems to me, I think the jury got it right. Some people don't like that answer. I get it. But that's just when I look at this, I think it's a very easy, measured situation. And again, no knife. This doesn't happen, you know, and things are different right now. So those are my thoughts on Carmelo Anthony. Let's talk about, got a lot to talk about here today. And, got my fans blasting on me. Let me get my first drink of the show. Here we are. The Mazza merch store is now open. That link is right there. Actually, I didn't put it in the chat yet, did I? Let me grab it. You can get an early peek at the merch now if you'd like, or I'll be revealing it on this show in just a little bit. So I want to get some of the topics out of the way before I. How do I pin this? Why is it not letting me pin it? Delete comment. Oh, that's right. It's been a while. I got to pin it from the YouTube level. I'm at the StreamYard level. Once I show the merch, we're going to be there for like 20 minutes on it. So let's take a look here. There we are. We're going to talk about Adam Deitch. There we go. Pin message. There we go. Now it's pinned. All right. That link is pinned to the chat right there for you guys. Thank you, 1977. I appreciate it. Yeah, I got the black. I got to do something on the black zone today. I got to figure that out. I got to go food shopping and figure out what I'm cooking today. Definitely got to get the black stone fired up today. No question about that. No question at all. All right. Karen Reed and Adam Deitch. Adam Deitch yesterday met with, basically had a grand opening at his office in Quincy, because everybody in Norfolk County always has an office in Quincy. It seems to be the trend. Here we go. Let's get this shared up. There we go. And there we go. And here we go. All right, there we go. All right. So today, Adam Deitch had this to say yesterday. Adam Deitch said, today was the grand opening of Adam Deitch's campaign. This is Joanne that said this. Today was the grand opening of Adam Deitch's campaign office in Quincy. It was a pleasure to meet him, Karen Reed, and Mr. Reed, and steadfast boots on the ground. It's just 81 days from the primary on September 1st. There is an army of people on X who support truth, justice, and accountability. The best way to make that happen is to support his campaign in any way you can. The game will be won on the ground. So here's a photo right here. Let's actually enlarge this. Tab. And we will share this tab instead. And let's adjust this down. There we are. So there's Adam Deitch yesterday. Some familiar faces there as well in the background. This lady in the light blue shirt, I forget her name, but I've met her a few times. I've seen her multiple times. I always forget her name. Unfortunately, believe it or not, I do not know everybody that is out there in Karen Reed's movement, but I do recognize a lot of the faces. I've seen people in multiple places, all that good stuff. So yes, we got a nice photo here of Karen Reed, Adam Deitch opening up his office yesterday, and having Karen Reed there is a great thing. That's good to see. It's good to see Karen there. Again, Karen Reed getting out and showing some support. There's no question that this is a big candidate for her. You know, I think that this is a big candidate for Turtleboy as well. I believe that overall they need this kind of candidate in Norfolk County, because there's no telling what Adam Deitch can do. You know, for too long, things have been one-sided. It's been Aiden Carney's accused of witness intimidation, but yet how many people have attempted to come at, you know, say things about Karen Reed online, and nothing said about it at all, you know, and that's, to me, one of the biggest concerns I've had for a long time, Adam Deitch's donation link is in the chat as we speak. And let me see. This thing didn't work too well. I don't like that. Let's do this. Try it again. There we go. That might work better. Okay. We'll delete this comment. Okay, good. Adam Deitch, again, you know, this could be allegedly LB. Good to see you. Good to see you. This is big time for Karen because Michael Morrissey has been a total disaster in terms of her and what she's had to go through. In fact, if it wasn't for Michael Morrissey, you know, what doesn't happen for Karen Reed? What became of Karen Reed over the years because of these charges by this DA's office? What else has gone on because of Michael Morrissey's office? Greg Conner is more of the same in Norfolk County. There's no question about it at all. And I, for one, know that none of this would have ever happened to Karen Reed if it wasn't for this. It all, as much as it goes, like Karen says, it goes above to Maura Healey's office. And she's not wrong. She's not wrong about Maura Healey's office at all. Maura Healey's office has been a disaster. And quite frankly, it's been a disaster for the Kelsey Fitzsimmons case. It's been a disaster for the Enrique Delgado Garcia case. It's been a disaster for other cases as well. There's no question Maura Healey's office has been horrible for business in Massachusetts at every level in terms of, at least only speaking to the true crime world, I should say. I'm not going to speak to politics across the board. I'll leave that for you guys to determine. But at least in terms of Maura Healey's office, in terms of Karen Reed, Enrique Delgado Garcia, Turtleboy, Kelsey Fitzsimmons, Sandra Birchmore, just en route, this governor has not been favorable to her. However, regardless of whatever's gone on at the governor's office, regardless of whatever's gone on at the state police, one thing is for sure is that what happened here to Karen is more so a proponent of Michael Morrissey's office. It is the DA's office that, you know, brought her to court, brought her to trial, all this stuff. They prosecuted this, right? And as a result, no matter what the McAlberts did or didn't do, no matter what Canton Police did or did not do, no matter what Michael Proctor and the Massachusetts State Police did or did not do, the fact is Karen Reed went to 2 trials because of Michael Morrissey's office. Michael Morrissey's office, regardless of whomever we believe is a villain, think is a villain, whatever our theories are, whatever the highest percentage chance of whomever was the highest level of responsibility for this, Michael Morrissey's office made this possible because they allowed this thing to go to trial not once, but twice. And that is the biggest thing here. That is the absolute biggest thing here. That if Michael Morrissey's office wasn't involved, this doesn't happen. When you look at what happened to Turtleboy, it doesn't happen if not for Michael Morrissey's office. They are the absolute centralized hub. They are the villain's hideout, okay? They are the Death Star from Darth Vader's ship in Star Wars of this entire thing. That's why Adam Deitch running for office is so important. That's why it's so vital that a lot of these competing candidates that are also going to be on that primary ballot, they have the right to be there, but they're only interfering with other votes for Adam Deitch that are going to be anti-Michael Morrissey, anti-establishment votes. And that's a concern for me. Because Adam Deitch needs the clearest path possible to get over Greg Conner so he can win that primary and go on to November to become the new DA of Norfolk County. But it's going to be a path, and that's it. I was not there. Nope. I honestly, I was not only there, I didn't even know about it. Honestly, I had no clue about this at all. So I don't know how people knew. I don't know how, maybe people were called, invited. I don't know how it happened. I found out like everybody else about this. I had no clue about this going on. I would have gone. Actually, would I have gone? I was so tired yesterday, I probably wouldn't have gone. But yeah, this was huge. And again, you know, it all starts with the DA's office in terms of there's only so far the Canton Police Department and the state police department can go without the involvement of Norfolk County. And that's all I got to say about that. That's all I got to say about that. I think it's great that Karen was there. I think it's great that he's seen with Karen Reed, because let's be honest here, the vote, as it pertains to the voting, as it pertains to the anti-Michael Morrissey vote, Karen Reed is the face, and I'd say Turtleboy as well, of the anti-Michael Morrissey, anti-establishment vote. So it's important for Karen Reed to be there. It's important for Adam Deitch to be seen on camera smiling at Karen, and Karen smiling at him, them being photographed together as much as possible. And that's great, because you need to have that image. You know, a lot of times when you watch politicians, you know, they always have people that are at their conventions, at certain locations, you know, that share their political side of things, and basically say, oh, look, I'm in a photo with this person. Look where I'm in the photo with this person. Look, we're on the same side. This is an image. It's an image. There's an image to it. But as a candidate, you have to sell an image. And if you're Adam Deitch, your image is, I'm the politician, I'm the candidate that is the face of the Karen Reed vote. And in order to sell that image, you have to literally have that image. And having that image is Adam Deitch and Karen Reed being photographed together. That is an image that you must have. So this is a very important photo. That's why I've shared it a few times. That's why everybody needs to keep sharing it. This needs to be the only thing I don't like about this photo is I wish that him and Karen were shaking hands in this photo. That's the one thing about this photo I don't like. But it's a good enough photo. It's perfect. It gets the image across. Karen's in the office. That's great. That's fantastic. They have more than enough to sell this, but that's what this is all about. This is about selling. This is about selling an image. This is about selling a candidate. This is about Karen endorsing a candidate. Having Karen Reed's endorsement is huge, because this also sends a message to every voter in Norfolk County that doesn't like Michael Morrissey, is that if you vote for any candidate that also claims to be anti-Morrissey, why are you anti-Morrissey for? Are you, because most people are probably anti-Morrissey at this point because of the Karen Reed trial. Who is Karen Reed supporting? Who is Karen Reed going to the office of? Who is Karen Reed campaigning for? Adam Deitch. This is a huge image. It's an important image, because this is a campaign-making photo. It's perfect. It's great. Adam's smiling at Karen. Karen's smiling at him. This is the big grand opening of his office. Karen Reed's there. Karen Reed loves Adam Deitch. Adam Deitch supports Karen. That's what you want. That's how the campaign needs to be run. Whoever did this, whoever got this done, masterful job. It needs to be done, because it's important for Adam Deitch, when he's campaigning against not just Morrissey, but all these other people, to say, I'm the pro-Karen Reed candidate. I am the candidate that is fighting for what happened to Karen Reed. Does anybody else have Karen Reed's endorsement? I have Karen Reed's endorsement. Karen Reed's been to my office. I've had lunch with Karen Reed. Karen Reed's a friend of mine. I know Karen. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to go in that direction. I'm making a joke. It was a 1988 debate joke. I was going in the direction up there. I know Karen Reed. Karen Reed's a friend of mine. But yes, that's an issue, is that, again, you need to have the image. If you're the pro-Karen Reed candidate, you need to have the image with Karen Reed. Adam Deitch has got that now. That's fantastic for him. This image needs to be sold. Now, I don't mean sold as in for money purposes. Sold as in, like they say in wrestling, sold as in making it known to the public, letting everybody see this, getting this all over the internet as much as possible. Because you're the pro. If you're a Karen Reed supporter, this is your candidate. That's it. Because no other candidate that's running against Greg Conner, the Morrissey candidate, or Adam Deitch, the Karen Reed candidate, is really, in my opinion, a true Karen Reed supporter. Because again, Adam Deitch is the only one that's really gone on the limb here and said, I don't like what Morrissey's office is doing. I'm here to support Karen Reed. I'm here to change what I've seen throughout the Karen Reed trials that need to be changed here. And that is important. That is vital. And this is a great image. This is an image that sells his campaign. It also looks good for Karen Reed because Karen Reed should be active in this. Karen Reed should have a vested interest in this election because Greg Conner is a continuation of that Morrissey legacy. It's the same good old boy network. It's the same inner circle. It's the same group. That's all that matters here is that there's no difference. I don't care because I've heard the anti-Karen Reed people try to say this and they're like, well, you know, Greg Conner isn't Michael Morrissey. I've even heard Greg Conner say, well, I disagree with what Michael Morrissey did. Well, that's great. The only reason why Greg Conner disagrees with what Michael Morrissey did is not because he disagrees with Michael Morrissey at all. He only makes a public statement that he disagrees with Michael Morrissey because Michael Morrissey now has a very negative public image. And Greg Conner is trying to be the heir apparent to Michael Morrissey and cannot win this election in a favorable sense by being tied to Michael Morrissey. So therefore, he must denounce, well, you know, some of the things Michael Morrissey did were wrong. And if I were elected, you know, I wouldn't do any of that. While sidestepping the issue, while continuing with the narratives of Michael Morrissey's office to a significant degree, is what's going to end up happening. And nobody should be BS by that at all. The voters shouldn't buy it in Norfolk County. They should not buy it at all because it's just political rhetoric. That's all it is. Well, I might be affiliated with Michael Morrissey, but I like you, I disagree with Michael Morrissey too. And if and when elected, I would not conduct myself the way Michael Morrissey did. Oh, well, gee, well, I guess that makes it okay then. No, it's like anything. Their office got exposed. Their office was exposed. And because they were exposed, they had to adjust the public narrative to the best of their ability, which was not very well done. In fact, it was horribly done. And so what happened? What ended up happening? Right? They got Michael Morrissey to drop out or whatever, and then Greg Conner's going to take his spot. It's the old cleansing of the office. Michael Morrissey's leaving. Let's get our guy from our network here, our good old boys network in. He'll carry the baton for us. He'll move forward for us, and he will keep that good old boy network inside circle going. It's just another. It's like the head coach steps down and the assistant coach steps in, and they hire from within. That's kind of the approach here. Yeah, and he has to distance himself. You're correct, and that's what he's trying to do. But at the end of the day, they're just trying to maintain their circle of nonsense is what they're trying to maintain here. And you're right, Laura, you're so right. He's going to distance himself now to keep that. Well, I understand my predecessor was making these mistakes, but I can assure you, voters, I will not make those same mistakes if and when elected. We will do what we've always done in Norfolk County as an establishment candidate, but we know Morrissey's office is leaving, but we will make those changes, and I can assure you what happened will not happen again. I will be harder on the Massachusetts State Police because unlike you guys, I learned about all the changes too, and I was outraged. Bullshit. Rhetoric. All rhetoric. And that's what the voters can't buy into. They can't buy into that. They can't buy into that, this establishment candidate, Greg Conner, acting like, I'm not like Morrissey. I'm going to have all the good things you like, but not the bad things that you don't. No, people can't buy into that. Unfortunately, they probably, as the establishment candidate, there's a certain amount of votes he's probably going to get automatically, which is a concern because it's harder to run if you're Adam Deitch. You're a non-establishment candidate, but you also have an unprecedented amount of support right now which is rarely seen in any county, in any state across this country, where there's been a debacle in Norfolk County for several years now. And now you're the candidate running, supporting Karen Reed, who has basically been the biggest name in Norfolk County for years. And this is definitely, to say the least, a very huge thing for Adam Deitch to have Karen Reed support, because you need this image. You need to have everything you possibly can to sell your campaign, sell yourself as a candidate, identify why voters should vote for you, while also identifying that there is a problem in Norfolk County. Greg Conner won't fix it because he's an establishment candidate, no different than Michael Morrissey. Essentially, they're attached to the hip. And that's what Adam Deitch's message needs to continue to be, which is, Greg Conner, you're no different than Michael Morrissey. You may claim that you're different, but essentially at the end of the day, you have the same views and the same values as Michael Morrissey. And if and when another situation similar to the one that happened in 2022 happened again, voters have no reason to believe that you would not handle that matter the same way Michael Morrissey had, and therefore the voters cannot trust you. That is why I believe the voters should vote for me, because I will bring change to Norfolk County. What happened to Karen Reed should not happen to Karen Reed. It shouldn't happen to any other person. What happened to Turtleboy, a journalist, should not happen to any journalist in Norfolk County, and I'm that candidate that's bringing that change. I call on everyone to vote for me. You know, if you don't like what's happened in Norfolk County the past few years, you don't like what happened to Karen Reed, then you should be voting for Adam Deitch and nobody else. That's the campaign message right there. You need to vote for me. These people can't be trusted. You think Greg Conner's going to go into office? You don't think he's going to start doing the same thing Michael Morrissey and that whole establishment's been doing for decades in Norfolk County? If you believe that things have not changed, if you believe that Karen Reed's story exposed corruption and injustice in Norfolk County, then your vote should be for Adam Deitch. That's who your vote should be for. It should be for Adam Deitch. Because if you disagree with everything you've seen in this county, if you believe that everything you've seen exposed in this county over the last 4 years, then your vote is for Adam Deitch. If you support Karen Reed, your vote's for Adam Deitch. If you support Turtleboy Aiden Carney, your vote's for Adam Deitch. If you've held a free Karen Reed or a free Turtleboy sign or a Justice for Sandra Birchmore sign, your vote is for Adam Deitch. And that's the campaign message. And it's a powerful message. It's an absolutely powerful message. There's no question about it at all. And it's good to see people out there voting. There's no question at all about that. It's a powerful story. It's nerve-wracking. It's a little nerve-wracking, isn't it? It's nerve-wracking to know if Adam Deitch will really win in this primary on September 1st or not. It is definitely nerve-wracking. Just because I don't know how the voting is going to pan out. I don't know, because I'm still concerned about I don't want to necessarily say the blind vote, but I would say maybe the business as usual vote that comes in where people will just go and vote for, well, I voted for Michael Morrissey every time he's been on the ballot, and today I'm coming down to vote for Greg Conner because Michael Morrissey has endorsed Greg Conner. You know, someone's grandma coming down from the old folks community, casting her vote. I have voted for Michael Morrissey for many, many years. Thank you so much, Sarah B. Creative. I appreciate that. Thank you. I have voted for Michael Morrissey for many, many years. Michael has been a wonderful candidate, and he told me to vote for Greg Conner. And today, I showed up at the local high school to cast my vote for Greg Conner. You know, it's like that's what bothers me about voters. That's what bothers me about voters in the face of change, okay? Is you have the people that will still vote because it's like, ma'am, are you aware of what happened to Karen Reed? Karen who? Karen Reed. No, I have not read anything. What are you talking about? You know, like that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, where you have the people that are totally disillusioned to what's happened in Norfolk County for years now, and they show up and they're just digging the Greg Conner box simply because I saw Michael Morrissey on TV and he was endorsing Greg Conner, and that's who I voted for, by golly. You know, like, come on. You know, we're gonna have some humor on this show. I gotta have the voice impersonation. That's what bothers me a lot. And if there's thousands of people just like that character I've just made up on the fly here, that can be devastating to someone like Adam Deitch. It can be, because you can't, because unfortunately in life you can't get through to everybody. You know, yeah, it does sound like Elmo, doesn't it? You can't get through to everybody. That's the problem. You know, that's always the biggest problem when it comes to things like this. And that is, again, troublesome to me because, again, if you have 1,000 people just like that character, I'm voting for Clay Connor and I support this message, you know, then that's a problem because, again, you want to transition as many votes as you can. And that's the big concern here is can he turn enough of those votes? Are there enough people that have been woken up in Norfolk County by what's gone on the past couple of years to say, you know what, I should be getting my ass to the poll and voting for Adam Deitch? But I think the biggest thing for Adam Deitch is I think Adam Deitch is going to get the highest amount of first-time district attorney voters, people that are actually showing up to vote for a candidate like him in the primary that have never voted before. So I think that, you know, that is a huge thing for him that he may have going is there might be a lot of people that don't turn out to vote for district attorneys normally in these primaries normally for midterms normally that are going to actually show up and cast their vote this time, which I think is going to be huge. I think he's going to get the highest amount of first-time new voters of any candidate on that ballot. That number I'm going to guarantee. I won't guarantee victory for him. I don't know how the numbers are going to come out. But I think he's going to get a high number of first-time voters casting their ballot. I think that number is going to be very high. Whether that number is enough, I don't know. I don't know at all. I don't know if he has. I don't know if he has. But I think he did. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know if he has. I don't know if he has come out and endorsed him or not. I don't know what has happened at all. But, you know, first-time voters, and not just solely younger generations, but also people out there that could be from any generation that don't normally vote. Say the people that typically vote in like the midterms in November or the primary, presidential elections in November every 4 years, but the people don't necessarily show up for primaries. You know, yeah, the primary, exactly. The primary is the whole thing. I think once you win the primary here, you're pretty much got the November 1. No question about that at all. But yeah, it's good to see Karen Reed with him. It's great that they got together there and had this moment together and got out there and again got that image. That image is the only thing that matters. If Karen had walked in that office for 2 minutes, shook some hands and left, that image is all that matters because it's the image that sells. It's the image that sells, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's see what we got here. So Dennis Sweeney also posted a photo here of himself, Brenda Sweeney, and a few other folks right here. This was Karen and some folks holding signs. This image also surfaced yesterday. Rich Schiffer, the Duck King, Brenda Sweeney, Dennis Sweeney, who you guys know from the Canton Select Boards and a lot of the Boots on the Ground events. They were there. This was, I believe, afterwards. This might have been outside the office. I'm not sure. But they're holding Adam Deitch signs, Adam Deitch shirts. I'll be working on some stuff for sure. Yep, first wave will be shirts and hats. And then I'll work on coffee mugs and other things as well for sure. Yep. Once I start to hear comments just like yours, I'll start to look at what people are asking for the most. So, yep, a lot of, again, boots on the ground here. Karen Reed supporting Adam Deitch, getting out there. It looks like Karen actually, if you look over Rich's right shoulder on the far left here, it looks like Karen actually has a sign that's touching the back of his right shoulder. So Karen Reed does have an Adam Deitch sign in hand there. So, again, Karen's getting out there, it looks like, showing some support. Backing a candidate that is going to have her views and her concerns in mind, which is a big thing. So, again, that's good to see Karen getting out there. And, again, just showing some support for Adam Deitch as well. So that's definitely a big-time thing right there. No question about it. So that's good. There's Karen out there. Good picture there. And Karen, again, showing some support. That's great news. So I'm happy about that. Good to see that. And let's get this off screen here. Got myself back to large. How you guys doing? But yes, the MazzaMedia merch store is now open. We're going to be going over that store in a little bit. I see some people already made some purchases, at least that they've reported in the chat. Thank you so much, Sarah Be Creative. We've got our hoodie. You may not be able to wear it for a long time unless it's a really, really cold day in the summer, but thank you so much for that. And again, that merch store is scrolling at the bottom of your screen. It's also pinned to your chat. All right, so let's talk about, we got through Carmelo Anthony. We got through Karen Reed and Adam Deitch. Let's do this. Let's talk about Turtleboy for a couple minutes here. All right, let's do this. All right, so Caidyn has released some posts about when Tully searched his home back in 2023, and just the level of things that have gone on there. So let me just find this stuff here. Sorry about that. Yeah, here we go. So Caidyn has released some posts here. Seems like a good zoom. There we go. Here we go. All right. There we go. Here we go. Here we go. All right. And Caidyn Carney. Perfect. All right. There we are. So there we go. Let's go to smaller view. Perfect. That looks good. Okay. Perfect. Here's an important comment here that needs to be spread here. So fan of the truth says, from Quincy, if you live near Norfolk, please reach out to Adam Deitch's website. They have lawn signs, bumper stickers, buttons, flyers, etc. If you live outside of Norfolk, sign up on the website. So that's if you live near, go to that and, get those buttons, get those outside your homes if you can here, folks. Thank you. Yeah, I know. I agree with that as well. Technically, Karen Reed has rights as a citizen to do whatever she wants and should not be disparaged by a judge for that. I agree. So, we're going to get to Michael Proctor next, by the way. Michael Proctor coming up, and then we got some other things coming up here, too, on the show. A lot of topics today, and we're almost an hour in, so we're making good time here. About a 2-hour show today, I think it's going to be, so we're making good time here. Caidyn said this on June 12th. He said, because I sometimes stream from my car, the judge decided this was probable cause enough to search my vehicle as well. Inside the car, they found all sorts of witness intimidation they'd never seen before, including the signs I filmed myself holding in front of D&E Pizza and the two most deadly weapons imaginable, megaphones. So Caidyn's posted pictures of some of his signs here. Some questions, some of the signs he actually, I believe he held some of these signs at the Canton Select Board meetings, in fact. So these signs were basically justifiable cause enough to get a vehicle search going, which is interesting here. So this is a megaphone here. Looks like a volleyball. Again, this is wild here. I cannot believe the contents of this vehicle. There's bottled water. For the love of God, there's bottled water in Caidyn Carney's vehicle. Oh my God. It's just wild to me that this happens here. Just a bunch of other stuff. Oh yeah, I saw this tweet as well about KP. Adam Deitch has no idea who this person is other than a deranged gorilla looking for attention. I don't think he's concerned about losing the support of documented blah, 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 blah. Yeah, KP had some things to say. This picture was triggering, very triggering to anti-Karen Reed yesterday. Anti-Karen Reed folks were up in arms about it. KP had some things to say, all that there. So just, again, some more things. I saw this post too. Ricada Law had talked about somebody that was making fun of Caidyn's basement or garage where he had been shooting his shows. People were trying to make fun of Caidyn for that. And then Caidyn just, Caidyn in true Caidyn form, when someone makes a joke or makes fun of him or tries to poke fun at him, he knows how to spin that and just basically use it in a way that's favorable, which I appreciate. He says, the most powerful corrupt people in the state felt so threatened by the person operating out of this that they arrested him and put him in jail. Great argument. Because again, why are they so threatened? If this guy is just a blogger, if this guy's just a streamer, if Aiden Carney is just whatever they want to minimize him at, then he should be no threat at all. That witness intimidation and all this stuff should be no threat at all to anybody, right? So it's just, to me, wild that this stuff ends up happening. It looks like this person actually deleted their post. Yeah, they deleted it. Oh, this post is from an account I blocked. Okay, case 10. So they made fun of Aiden for this. It looks like it's a garage or a basement. Most people's garages or basements have stuff all over the place. That's why their garage basement, is burners right there. It's common for people to have a lot of stuff in their basement. He has a table set up and all this stuff, but people were mocking him because of this. But again, it's a basement. People pack their stuff in at random in their basements all the time. They just want to make fun of him for whatever they did. Again, just stuff. So this person says, everyone behold, the studio of an award-winning journalist. And I say journalist alternating caps and lowercase to make fun of him. I've already blocked this person because they come at me time and time. So Caidyn says, it's amazing how information and credibility trump $1 million set every single time, right? So people want authenticity, not ostentation. The real question is, if this studio is all it takes, why are you a failure, right? Again, Aiden did what he did from, again, his basement, wherever, got this story out there, promoted this story, got this story popularized, has gained upwards of, how many followers? He has 150,000 followers. He had probably, 50,000, 40,000 when he started covering this story. This guy's made a huge name for himself. People have been targeting him for all kinds of charges because he popularized this story and they didn't like it. Numerous people are out of jobs right now because he popularized this story and they didn't like it. And so people want to try to shit on him. They want to make fun of him. They want to insult him. They'll say, oh, look at your basement. Your basement's messy. It doesn't matter because, like Caidyn says, it's amazing how information and credibility trump $1 million set every time. Aiden didn't need a studio like Boston 25 or WBZ Channel 4 or WCVB Channel 5. He was able to do this in his basement off a table that would typically be used as a picnic table and was able to get the message across. And to Aiden's point, the most powerful corrupt people in the state felt so threatened by the person operating out of this that they arrested him and put him in jail. Unbelievable. Because again, they were very threatened by what he had to say. They were threatened by the contents of his vehicle. Obviously, and that's again, a situation where the truth is on his side. And it doesn't matter if Aiden had a studio that was high quality, like a TV news studio. It doesn't matter if Aiden had operated out of a tent in his backyard. It doesn't matter. The fact is that the story got across, and they're gonna try to minimize and mock and make fun of and all that stuff. That's what they're typically gonna do. That's what they're gonna do, and it's never gonna stop because that's what they're gonna do. When you're right, about something, all people have are insults. I'm gonna say that again. When you're right about something, all people have are insults. They're gonna insult you. They're gonna make fun of you. They're gonna devalue you. They're going to minimize you. They're going to say you're whatever. They're going to say you're wrong. They're going to say, oh, look at this guy. This guy shouldn't be believed, because it's your job not to let that stop you. And that's what Aiden did. He didn't allow it to stop him. He pushed forward. Because again, a lot of us content creators, a lot of you that are Karen Reed supporters have been made fun of. We've all been made. They said I look like Jared Fogle, for goodness sakes. And how the hell did they figure I look like Jared Fogle? And my other said, if they think I look like Jared Fogle, like, how do you look at me and say I look like Jared Fogle? I look like Ralph Macchio or Jeff Goldblum, I think. But especially when I was younger. But how are they going to say I look like Jared Fogle from Subway, who was like a criminal now? I don't look like the guy at all. Why? Because I wear glasses? Like, you can't take this stuff personally. Because these people, if these people believe I look like Jared Fogle, keep in mind they're the same people who believe Karen Reed did it. And if people who believe Karen Reed did it believe I look like Jared Fogle, then they don't know what they're even talking about. This is the kind of people that you're dealing with here, okay? These are people that don't know their ass from a hole in the ground, and they're trying to tell you I look like Jared Fogle and that Karen Reed did it, okay? Some of the memes they made of me, hilarious. The funniest stuff I've ever seen, actually. It's funny. They do it to Aiden. Aiden Carney gets made fun of by the people on the other side. Worse than any one of us that are Karen Reed supporters. Okay, let's just be honest. If you look at, you look at these pages out there. This guy gets insulted, made fun of, disparaged, mocked, ridiculed, memed more than anybody known to man. But what is his biggest power? His biggest power is not allowing this to get to him. Is not allowing this stuff to bother him. You have an account like this. This is their post. They make fun. They take his face. They put these glasses. I don't even know what this person's supposed to be. They take the glasses. They take the hair. There's all kinds of accounts like this all over the internet. And if you say anything positive about Aiden Carney, I can guarantee you these accounts are coming for you. I can guarantee this account's coming for me because I've already blocked them. So that's, again, when you're out there putting your name out there, putting your face out there, putting your views out there, they are gonna mock you. And Aiden deals with this more than anybody else out there. And then his power has been just not letting this stuff bother him, just not letting this stuff get to him, having that thick skin. I like this here, not getting through his shell because he's a turtle. Exactly. You have to have that ability to keep pushing forward. And what Aiden does here is when someone tries to mock him about his setup, what does he do? He makes this tweet. The most powerful corrupt people in the state felt so threatened by the person operating out of this that they arrested him and put him in jail. Bango. They made fun of him. They mocked him. They ridiculed him. He didn't let that bother him. He took what they did. He spun it and threw it right back at him. Well, if this is my office or where I do my shows out of, then really I'm no threat at all, right? It shows you it's a great intellectual way of mocking the people that have basically put all these charges on him, all the things that they've done to him. And it's supposed to be David Koresh. Okay, gotcha. And that's what you need to do. You need to be like Pinsky on Salute Your Shorts season 2. Okay, if you've ever seen the show Salute Your Shorts, there's this blonde kid that shows up the first season. They grab his clothes, they take his underwear, and they run his underwear up the flagpole. And the kid's like, "Oh no, they took my underwear and put it on the flagpole. Oh no, oh, this is so embarrassing." In season 2, they replaced that kid with a new actor. The kid's name was Pinsky. He was actually rolling around with that gang in Boy Meets World. Okay, Pinsky shows up to Salute Your Short camp the next summer. They steal his gear. They take 5 pairs of his underwear, run that up the flagpole. Do you think Pinsky sits there and goes, "Oh my God, no, I'm so mad"? No, Pinsky saluted his damn shorts and said, "This don't bother me at all. This don't bother me at all," Pinsky said. Pinsky wasn't bothered by it. And that's what made Pinsky a better character than the kid that was the main character in the first season of Salute Your Shorts. Because these guys tried to bully him, mock him, ridicule, run his underwear up the flagpole. And when they were going to salute his shorts to mock him, Pinsky saluted his shorts too and said, "This shit don't bother me at all because I'm Pinsky." That's the way you got to be. You got to have the Pinsky energy. You can't be letting these people mock you and ridicule you. And that's what Aiden has. You can't let this stuff bother. When they call me Jared Fogle, I'm Pinsky. Whatever you say, I don't care. Whatever you say, I don't care. It's like that comes with the territory. You're going to be mocked. David Portnoy from Barstool Sports, a lot of people don't like him either. Tell him to go bleep himself. It's called, when you're out there, they're going to make fun of you. It just happens. They're going to make fun of the way I look. I get it. Whatever. But then, if you look at the way they look, they really want to talk. Those are the things I ask myself. You know what I mean? So, again, Aiden takes this, turns it, flips it. Aiden wins. And that's what they don't like. That's what I don't like. Listen to me. That's what they don't like, I should say. That's what they don't like. So, yeah, it's good. So, again, he did a great job here of just turning it. And again, I like these images he's putting out there, showing exactly what again, he doesn't. There's John Cuomo here with Karen yesterday. Canton Chronicle, longtime supporter from Canton. This guy's been a thorn in the side of a lot of people in Canton for a long time. That's the show. You got it, Half Hammer. That's it. Camp on Awana. Bobby Budnick was in Terminator 2 and saved the world by instinctually lying to a cop. Dennis, we just had you up on screen a few minutes ago, sir. Your photo was up there with Karen yesterday, and Brenda with Karen Reed. Very great photo. But a lot of people met Karen again yesterday. I don't know the last time they've seen her, but they saw her. Let's see what Aiden had to say here. Oh, John says, "Oh, I have a fan." Oh, Jam's making fun of him. So Ginny Jams. I think I blocked her too. I block a lot. She blocked. Oh, I blocked her. Okay, I block a lot of people. I don't mess around too much. John cracks me up. Picture of her and John and Karen together yesterday. Reed and her counsel have nothing to do with unidentified individuals on the internet who commented on Collins' deposition scheduling. Well, he has the right to do that. It's a First Amendment right to say what you want to say about stories. No, I mean, again, he has the right to commentate on whatever he wants to commentate. He has the right to theorize as he wants to theorize. Everybody does. It's just these folks are all over the place. He goes, "Oh, I have a fan. Hey, Jim, show me proof he left when he said he did. Tell me how he got home 20 minutes after Chris. Also, here's another one so you don't have to go searching." Yeah, so it's just, again, John's not taking any nonsense here. Actually, I forgot to read this post. This was a good post by Aiden yesterday, too. He says, does anyone think Adam Deitch should be campaigning with Karen Reed if he thought there was any chance she got away with murder? He knows exactly what happened because he saw things at the federal grand jury that no one else has. That's why he's running for district attorney. That's a great point. That's a really great point. I used to watch Hey Dude, and a fun fact about me, Christine Taylor, who played Melody, was one of my very first crushes ever on television. Melody from Hey Dude, Christine Taylor. Loved that girl. I used to watch that show just to see her. Loved her. Melody. Great show, by the way. Hey Dude was an amazing show. Again, he says a couple key points here. Adam Deitch knows exactly what happened because he saw things at the federal grand jury that no one else has. I mean, that's a great point. If he saw that stuff, then he knows. And that gives him enough confidence to say, I'm going to run for Karen, believing strongly in her. And I think that adds to the validity of his campaign. Hey, Fridge, what's going on? Exactly. So, again, this photo surfaced. He knows exactly what went down. He knows exactly what went down. Aiden showed us tonight as well. That's the original reposts. Yeah, Yuri was seen at Dave Matthews last night. It's really incredible. Microdot says, it's really incredible that for years now, the Massachusetts State Police, the McAlberts, and their online accounts have tried to villainize Aiden Carney, while at the exact same time, they vouched for and protected Michael Proctor. No one should believe a word they say about anything. Aiden retweets and says, they've had my phone for 3 years, nothing. Now think about what they've tried. Now think about why they tried so hard to stop us from seeing what was in Brian Higgins and Brian Albert's phones. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, what the hell's in there? What don't we know? So this was added to the motion, I say. They said they added Turtleboy is right to that. These are other questionable things that are going on too, just like the things that have been impounded here. why are Michael Proctor's text messages about me still impounded, Aiden writes. We have them all and can't release them. He, along with blah, 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 and blah, 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 is the driving force behind my charges. He was listed as a victim who testified against me at grand jury. Why can't I show you what an asshole he is? Yeah, why is he so protected? He says, Tully did find a letter addressed to my ex-wife from his CI, Catherine Peter Krusty, in the trash, which Krusty left underneath our doormat while I was in Canton at a rolling rally. The letter tells my ex-wife that Krusty has shared her address with lots of people and was there to ask questions as a journalist. Krusty knows that this is completely legal for her to do so because my actions are also legal when I go to homes of witnesses. Thank you, Krusty, for admitting that the rolling rally and my speech is completely legal, which is why she wasn't arrested for doing the same thing. Boy, oh boy. So he says this is another photo here that they took of Aiden's home. Finally, Tully's mission ended after finding an old computer hidden under a bunch of crap in the basement, some digital cameras, and handheld recorders from 2008 that I just couldn't ever get rid of. They are currently processing them at a lab for witness intimidation. I know he never used this. He never used this stuff in any of the videos he posted. It's a witch hunt. It's a witch hunt is what it is. This is a great point, too. Despite having access to my entire phones, computer, car, and house, the only evidence of witness intimidation the Commonwealth has entered into discovery at this point are things I said on my YouTube show. I have never hid anything except for the identity of my sources because I don't violate the law, and I do respect the anonymity. Come on, I got this word. Anonymity. Can't say it. Anonymity of my sources who bravely come forward. I know the word, but I just couldn't get my brain and my tongue to coordinate. Of my sources who bravely come forward to expose corruption. It's just wild to me. It's just I've never heard of another case like this where, yeah, she does. That's right. That was her, and she was Marsha Brady in the Brady Bunch movies. Yep, I remember that. But that's what's so crazy about this. It's they have all these charges out against them, yet nothing's really come from it. Like, what have they ever found on his phones? What have they ever put to paper to say, hey, look, Aiden's this, and that, or he's done this, and that. It's always, he said Turtleboy was right. He said Turtleboy was right. He said Turtleboy was right. Oh, that's blah, blah, blah. That's wild. Tully searched everywhere for witness intimidation, but all he found was a fully stocked pantry, some laundry in a living room that wasn't tidied up by the children who were there an hour before because we didn't know we would be expecting company. Again, just his house, all that stuff. Unreal. This was there was something from MAGA Barbie that she said. What did she say about there was a post I had seen from her the other day. I want to repeat that. Where is it? Yes, this is it. Mega Barbie said, I guess I don't understand how, if Dr. Turtleboy announced ahead of time he was going to do the rolling rally, because the rolling rally is made out to be like it's like the biggest thing Aiden ever did that caused all of this, right? It's the rolling rally. This happened at the rolling rally. And when he did the rolling rally in Canton, they made this out to be like the biggest violation ever. So he announced ahead of time, and I remember these videos. Aiden was like, there's going to be a rolling rally this weekend. It's in Canton. We're going to be going here, and there. It's all over the internet. By this point, they already know what's going on. They know what's going to come of this. They know there's going to be people gathering in the town of Canton, right? She continues, such that it gave everyone time to get out of Dodge, right? So that means that anybody that's a witness, anybody that knows they're going to be basically have their home dropped by or whatever, they would have sufficient time to get out of Dodge. And also gave the cops time to put cameras up to monitor, right? Because we know about that. They were monitoring, they were standing by, they were monitoring, they were recording, they were looking for people's faces and names or whatever they were doing. You remember that? They had all this time. Why didn't the cops stop it if it's illegal? Why didn't the cops stop it if it's so illegal? Exactly, because that to me, again, if the rolling rally was something that they knew was coming to that town, they knew that Caidyn was going to go from point A to point B to point C to point D, F, G, H, I, J, K, whatever. They knew that all these people that were Turtleboy supporters were going to roll into their town. The people that were witnesses, whatever. The people that were cops, whatever. They knew that they were coming. Everybody knew, right? Why in the world would they set up cameras and basically conduct it like it was a sting operation? In other words, open up the gates to the town, let them roll in, literally, and just record them. Take photos, do espionage, do whatever, do a stakeout. Don't actually sting anybody, whatever, right? If it's so illegal, wouldn't you stop it? If you believed a crime or an illegal, unlawful assembly was in process, why not stop it? And if you didn't stop it, so if you knew about it, and if it was illegal, it's your duty as a cop to stop it, because God forbid a rolling rally rolls in a town that's illegal and you don't stop it, because as a cop, you want to shut this down quick because that's illegal, bro. Rolling rallies are illegal, and as cops, we can't have illegal activity going on in our town. We got to shut this down before it gets going because we got people to protect. We have a town to protect, right? So that's what you do if a rolling rally was illegal or if it was an unlawful assembly. As a cop, you'd shut that down. Now, the argument can be made, and I guess this might be where MAGA Barbie's going, is if you didn't shut it down and you let it go down, wouldn't that kind of mean you didn't shut it down because it wasn't illegal and that it was legal? Because if you didn't do anything, then really what you're saying is that this is a lawful assembly and there's no crime being committed here. Am I wrong to assume that would be an argument? Because if you drive 90 miles an hour down a road, that's a 35-mile-an-hour speed zone, which would be pretty dangerous, by the way, and you don't get pulled over, is it really speeding? I mean, it is, but there's no penalty. If there's a cop on a road in any town in this country or world, they're doing traffic duty, they got their speed gun going, and somebody does a 90 or a 70 and a 35 and doesn't pull them over, then I guess that cop determined that person really didn't speed them. But if they pull them over and they write them a ticket for driving 75 to 90 in a 35, then that's a speeding violation. But if they don't pull them over at all and they let them speed right through town, then is that a crime? I would say yeah, but they didn't do anything. And if they didn't do anything, then what can really be said about it? And if nothing can be said about it, then the rolling rally really shouldn't be talked about at all, should it? Because it doesn't really have any place in town. Because the cops didn't do anything. The cops didn't stop it. If it was an unlawful, illegal assembly and they didn't stop it, then it's really nothing to talk about. It's how can it be whatever? It just doesn't make much sense to me. Those cops, and if those witnesses claim that was witness intimidation, you mean to tell me that they never called the cops? You mean to tell me if they called the cops, the cops never did anything about it? Why didn't the cops do anything about it? It just doesn't. That's how I look at it. I look at it as entrapment. That's how I see it. I think that they were entrapped. They said, let them roll into town, let them have the rolling rally, and then we're just gonna use this against them at a later time. That's what I take from this. I do, because there's nothing else to take. Because what would have happened is that there was a rolling rally, they would have just said, look, folks, you can't be doing this here. We cannot permit this. You're going to have to disassemble, disperse immediately. we can't have this going on in the town. It was up to the cops, if that was an illegal activity, to shut that down before it ever happened. If those cops didn't do it, then it sounds like those cops collaborated or worked with other parties to entrap Caidyn Carney to try to get them all hit up with crimes at a later time, or just aid with intimidation at a later time. But why did the cops not stop it in advance? I just don't get that. Yeah, was there one arrest that day? I don't even remember anymore. There was one arrest. The fan's hitting my nose here. Let me just turn this. My nose starts to itch when this. I got a cooling tower to my right here. It just hits my nose and it always makes my nose itchy. But like I said, why don't they just shut it down before it ever took place? Why allow that to happen? You're the police. If a rolling rally is bad, why don't you shut it down? And if you did allow it, then it sounds to me like a sting operation. It sounds to me like entrapment. It sounds to me like a setup. That's the attitude I get. You know? That's a great question. That I don't know the answer to. I'd imagine it probably happened after the fact. I don't know. That's just my assessment. Shank says it's not entrapment. Stop the madness, please. This is my question for you, Shank. Are you a Karen Reed supporter? You don't necessarily have to believe it if you're a Karen Reed supporter or a Turtleboy supporter. But are you a Turtleboy supporter? Are you a Karen Reed supporter? Are you anti-Turtleboy? Are you anti-Karen Reed? But they might have an argument. Entrapment is an affirmative defense. I might be wrong. Let's see. I'm willing to be wrong. Entrapment is an affirmative defense where a defendant argues that the government agents or law enforcement implanted the criminal idea into their mind and pressured them to commit a crime they otherwise would not have committed. Okay. That might be a good argument. That might be a good argument then. Then maybe it would not be entrapment. So basically, I always think of entrapment as I always think of Police Academy, where they dressed, I think, Hightower up as a woman, and somebody tried to solicit prostitution, but that cop hadn't have been there. They wouldn't have been. Hightower was posing as a woman, and somebody tried to buy sex or whatever, and that was entrapment because that person wouldn't have otherwise tried to get a prostitute if that cop hadn't been dressed up as a prostitute. So maybe it could not. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not entrapment. But thank you. Audio is good. Good to hear. The entrapment defense only applies if law enforcement or an official state agent is involved. If a friend or coworker pressures you into a crime, you cannot claim entrapment. So it only is if a law enforcement or state agent is involved. Yeah, I would say I think the person has a strong argument. We can unmute Shank. If someone muted him, you can unmute Shank. You can unmute him. I think they have a pretty fair argument there. The more I look into the definition of entrapment, I think that's a fair argument. I feel like it borders on it, though, to some degree, because, again, law enforcement does not enforce the law there. They allow them to roll into the town and whatever. So just to me, I don't understand why. I mean, I don't understand the legality of it all. If in the sense that, if you have an issue with Caidyn Carney and a group rolling into town, and you know that this is something you don't want in your town, or you think this is something that you believe is going to be a problem for your town, why are you not shutting that down? And if you are not shutting that down, I would say inherently by allowing it, then that's it. Then it's not an issue then. They come back later and have what, hidden cameras? Basically, maybe say a sting operation. I don't know, a sting operation maybe, or at least surveilling, at least doing a surveillance or a stakeout. How do you ever not do anything if that's a problem? How do you come back later and say, oh, geez, there was a rolling rally in town today, and Aiden and his group did this, Aiden and his group did all this stuff. Why didn't you stop it if it was an issue? Or you're just going to take photos, and then you're going to come back later. And then you can say, oh, this was horrible. What a terrible day in Canton. They did this, this, and that. It's like they're trying to build a case against them by saying, well, we're not going to do anything to enforce this as a violation or whatever now. We're going to let it happen, come back later, and then say, oh, this happened. That is shady to me. And that's what MAGA Barbie's saying. I guess I don't understand how, she says, I guess I don't understand how, if Turtleboy announced ahead of time he was going to do the rolling rally, such that it gave everyone time to get out of Dodge and also gave the cops time to put up cameras and to monitor. Why didn't the cops stop it if it was so illegal? Kelly says it should be thrown out due to the sheer fact he was the only one charged and there were 100 people with him. Also, the window intimidation should not be tossed because Will was literally his arms and they only charged Aiden, not that Will. Petitioning activity, so not illegal. Right. I mean, yeah. I mean, if it's petitioning activity, it's not illegal. Durance Diary says correct. The fact that there was zero police presence despite Aiden announcing it publicly is very shady. Peace on Earth says they allowed him to. They set him up to make him out to be the bad guy. Dee Dee says it's not illegal to hold protests on public roadways and sidewalks, even if they're directed at a private residence, as long as you're not violating local bylaws like noise blocking traffic, etc. And that's it. It's again. Yeah, so if it's not illegal, then it's not illegal. I would say this: if they knew there were witnesses in those homes and that was so-called witness intimidation, they would have done something. They did nothing. I don't know. I just think this whole thing's a moot point. I think MAGA Barbie's post is perfect. Again, if they would have stopped it if it was so illegal, but they did nothing. Yeah. Unreal. I agree with that. I agree with that too. I would say it's a petitioning activity. And those officers must have known they couldn't do anything to stop it. So again, no. Like, hey, they make such a big deal out of it. In terms of this, if it's just a petitioning activity, it's just a petitioning activity. No. Those are my thoughts on that. All right, next up, what do we got here? Michael Proctor. Let's talk about Michael Proctor. I've done some deliberating on the rolling rally story. The rolling rally is not really something I've ever really focused on much, to be honest with you. It's something I remember happening, but I don't really ever dive too deeply into that story. We're going to be getting to the Mazza merch store in a bit here. We're almost got all the topics out of the way before we get to the merch store. Yeah, we did Carmelo Anthony. We did Karen Reed and Adam Deitch. We did Turtleboy. Now it's the Proctor deposition. So then the merch store. And then that's the show for today. And we're at not even 1:30 yet, so we got plenty of time here. Great. Michael Proctor. What a week. What a week for Michael Proctor. This guy had a deposition on Monday. No shows the thing. Doesn't come, announces he can't come out to it. And actually got the Knicks to talk about, too. Forgot about the Knicks. All right. Sorry about that. I have to keep my notes in my app here. Boom. Let's get back to it. I got to get to my notes earlier in the week. Sorry. All right. My thoughts were this. These are my thoughts. If Michael Proctor had nothing to hide, he would have appeared for his deposition today. That's all I have to say about that. If he had nothing to hide, he would have shown up. And that's the bottom line. I just don't see what, again, I always try to look at this stuff in a literal sense, meaning if Michael Proctor is literally right about Karen Read, then he would literally show up because he has nothing to hide. He would have appeared for his deposition on the 8th, but he does not. To me, that's just, again, something more that goes in Karen Read's favor. Why? It's very obvious. We all know why. Because it makes him look bad. He's running, he's hiding, he's wherever, he's having a mental breakdown, whatever. So forth and so on. But why not appear? Because if you're right about everything you have to say about Karen Read, and Karen Read's this horrible woman that's guilty, you've testified twice against her in a court of law in 2 trials, why not show up for your deposition? Because again, if you're right about everything and Karen's so bad, there's really nothing to fear. There's no reason to fear Alan Jackson. And that's what I look at here is, again, this guy coming up with any excuse known to man to not be there and to not show up. And again, if Karen Read's so bad, that's all we have to say. What is the deal here? So the depositions have been switched over now, as there's now an adjusted schedule. We got Karen and Brian on June 24th, 10 days from now. Proctor and Matt on the 26th, later this month. Proctor may not go on the 26th. He may go later in July. It's still being worked on. But again, I just look at this whole thing and I'm just like, my God. I go, how is this guy not showing up for this? That was just wild. It was just, again, more information to me to just say, hey, look, if you're not showing up, none of your business is going on. None of your business. If there's nothing to fear, then he would show right up. And if you're not showing up, then that tells me that Karen Read's just as innocent as we all thought she was. And you're afraid of your deposition. You're afraid to get out there. You're afraid to talk about it. And to me, that carries a weight of guilt and a lack of ability to trust in Michael Proctor. We already don't trust Michael Proctor. No question about that. But all this does is add to it. All it does is add to it. That's it. It just sits there and makes you say, once again, look, he's not showing up. He's not going to appear. He's not going to be there. He fears Alan Jackson. That's the ball game. That's it. Game over. So unbelievable. It's just, again, I look at this stuff and, I guess the thing that was difficult, and then Joey Bag of Donuts talks about that here, was just that Proctor did get out of the deposition on Tuesday because of a scheduling conflict with Karen's team. They couldn't, so I like this comment here. He says, I was a bit disappointed that Proctor got his way and avoid being deposed today, which was Monday, or tomorrow, which was Tuesday. However, I think an additional 2.5 weeks will hurt Proctor badly. That's 2.5 more weeks for lawyers and free Karen Read sleuths to obtain and analyze FOIA info. Not smart. I think that's a great post. I like this post a lot. I wouldn't be relieved because those texts have some horrible things to be said about people. That is unbelievable. Proctor's the guy. I agree, Lori. Proctor's the guy that could basically, I would say this. There's nobody more that could flip and get the most benefits than him in this whole thing. Like, he is the guy. Michael Proctor is the central hub of this entire story. He really is. He is the center. That's why he got cut, because they cut the wire in the middle. And they got him out of it. And with that said, you know, he could shut the whole thing down. I mean, he doesn't have to. Being between the governor, being between Michael Morrissey's office, being between, you know, the McAlberts, the Canton Police Department, whatever. This guy could literally spill the beans anytime he wanted to. I mean, he is the most informed party. There's nobody that has more communication with the Massachusetts State Police, the Canton Police than him. This guy could turn around tomorrow and just say, look, I give up. I'm just going to tell everybody what happened. I mean, this guy, by doing favors for people, look what it did to Karen Reed's life. You know, this guy went out there, said she did it, worked on that whole thing, you know, to just work on the Sally Port, whatever. Went out there, did all this, orchestrated all this, made moves. Him and his cronies, right? His cronies went out there and tried to shut down Turtleboy when they talked about this. If Michael Proctor would ever flip and spill the beans on all this, I mean, this would be unbelievable. This guy, I would say this, because this is a great question, because I was going to go a little bit into the federal statement on this. Halfhammer says, Mazza, do you think the feds would even offer a deal of immunity to anyone involved at this point for info, or do you think that time has passed them? I believe the latter at this point, but I admit that's pure conjecture with no idea of that process outside of the movies. LOL. I would say this. I think if they were going to offer him a deal, if the feds were going to say, hey, look, let's just reach out to Proctor, let's just talk to him, let's get him to give up all this stuff. I think they could offer him a deal anytime they wanted, because the feds are all powerful and they can offer immunity anytime I'd say they'd be able to offer immunity anytime they want. I don't think that, you know, but again, have they talked to him before? Has he refused to say anything? You know, would they give him more opportunities to do so in the future? Maybe. I mean, Michael Proctor's pretty much at the point now where the dude just probably wants to go into hiding for the rest of his life. I mean, that's after those texts come. I mean, regardless of whatever he's been accused of or is alleged to have done, believed to have been done by us, those text messages. I mean, that's just those text messages, the equivalent of not being able to ever show your face in public again. I mean, how do you show your face in public again after those texts get out? Everybody knows what you said. Everybody's going to Google your name and look up your name and say, oh, geez, you had this to say, or you did this on your job, or you said that on your job. This guy is unemployable. He's irredeemable now. But I would say this guy I would say of anybody out there that was involved or alleged to have been involved, I would say he has the most value to the feds if he flipped. Because again, he has the most, like the Canton Police Department, whatever they did, like Sergeant Good, for example. Sergeant Good goes through Proctor. Proctor connects to the DA's office. You know what I'm saying? So I would say Proctor's the guy. I mean, Proctor's the guy that if you could sit down in an interrogation room like it was the movie True Lies, you know, and have the tell us the truth, you know, that voice, he would be the guy to give the most. I think he would have the most information to give you because he has the ties to, if there's any information on the McAlberts, he knows it. The Canton Police Department, he would know it. The Massachusetts State Police, he would know it. The DA's office, he would know it. There's nobody with a more centralized location. If he, you know, the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, if you will. There's nobody with those degrees more than Michael Proctor in all of this. So if that guy were to flip, and the thing is, I don't know what he thinks he has to do for other people. Like I said, I've argued this about him in the past. I don't even know why he did this in the first place. Why he would take the only reason why he took this upon himself in the first place is because he truly believed he could get away with it. It's obvious that he was pals with Sergeant Good, other cops, whatever, potentially, on that Canton Police Department. Obviously, he was in a wedding with the McAlberts as well, or the McAlberts' sisters, Michael Proctor's sister's wedding or whatever. You know, they know them. They all know each other. I just think that this is, a misstep by Michael Proctor because he believed that he could, with the power he possessed and the connections he possessed, that he could pull all this shit off and get away with it. And what he learned was he could not get away with it. And the reason why he couldn't get away with it is because of a couple names. Karen Reed and all our attorneys and Aiden Carney, that were able to popularize this and get the story out there to say, hey, look, there's some questions here. And if Michael Proctor did everything right and there was nothing wrong with him, then he would still have a job to this day. And the Massachusetts State Police Union would have never dropped him in supporting him in court. But because this guy has so much bad stuff on him and so much dirt, he's an irredeemable guy. But it amazes me that he is the one, like, there, of all the people out there, like, if you sit there and you say, Morrissey this, the McAlbert stat, the Canton police this, no matter what you say about any of those people, the one that suffered the most consequences or has faced the most wrath of this entire saga is Michael Proctor. And with that said, it's amazing to me Michael Proctor just hasn't woken up one day and just said, you know what? I'm the one that's taking all the dirt for this. I'm taking all the fall for this. I'm going down. Like, I was trying to protect other people. Now I'm the one that's eating crow. I'm the one in the mud. Fuck them. I'm just going to spill the beans. It's amazing he hasn't reached that point mentally. That's just my thoughts on that. It's amazing he hasn't just got to that point where, like, I was out here trying to help everybody out. Nobody's helping me out. I'm losing my life over this. I think Lizzie Proctor's gone now in his life. The minute he just doesn't sit there and say, you know what, fine. This is what happened. Because I'll be honest with you, when I look at that guy's life, I don't see how it could get any worse for him than it already is. I mean, this guy's at the bottom of a barrel right now. But I guess the guy's extremely loyal. I don't know what his deal is. But if this guy knows all the dirt, he could cop a plea, you know? At this point, is this guy qualified to have his life, you know, I don't think you can go in witness protective, what's it called? Where they like an erase where they erase your life and, you know, let you go wherever. His face is going to be recognized all over the world at this point. But yeah, like I said, I think there's a lot of value in him to flip. I do. Why he isn't flipping? Yeah. But someone says, depends on what dark secrets, for example, the Alberts may have on him. Yeah, I guess that's right. But, you know, are his dark secrets on them worse? You know, I don't know. Yeah, it's just, like I said, I don't know what this guy's plan is, what he's thinking, or whatnot. But I would say this, whatever he's done, whatever his involvement has been in this that we know about or don't know about, this guy is being submerged by all of this. This stuff is continuously weighing him down. He's looking worse by the second. Allegedly, he was in an insane asylum, if I'm going to hear that correct. He's actually, allegedly, I heard he was in a psych ward in Florida. Is that true? If that's all true, I mean, this guy's life is, you know, what is the benefit? What is the benefit for him in all of this? I just don't get it. Why was he involved in this story from the get-go? Why was he trying to frame an innocent woman for murder from the get-go? Why? Why did he do it? You know, this ruined Karen Reed's life. We're all here talking about him because of him. We would not be talking about this if this didn't happen. You know, if it didn't get popularized by Karen and Aiden. And it's a sickening story. It truly is. But again, you know, what is his plan going forward? Because nothing's working for him. The police department, the Massachusetts State Police don't want him anymore. The police union didn't even want to support him either anymore. This guy's been absolutely cast out by everybody that was allegedly on his side. Gone. Over. Game over. You know, it's unbelievable, folks. All right. We have a merchandise store to talk about now. Let's talk about it, ladies and gentlemen. The grand opening of the MazzaMedia merch store. We've had a soft grand opening to the past hour and 40 minutes. But the merchandise store is at the bottom of your screen there, scrolling, and it's pinned to the link. And I just put the link in there. If you guys are interested in merchandise today, please consider making a purchase. I appreciate that. Here's your first look at the website. This website may be changed in its design. Right now, this is the initial design. I had an original design. I changed it to this for now. But this is the Mazza merch shop. It's going to have t-shirts and hats to start. We'll add more merchandise as time goes on. But this is an initial first look at the store. Zoom in just a little bit more. So you guys are, a lot of people are asking me for t-shirts, and just other things like that. So let's start going through it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a look. So Lori Mullen, thank you, appreciate that. Yeah, so here we go. So here's your first the products. There's two different products, and here we are. These are the initial designs. So we have the MazzaManiac design, and we have the Massachusetts design. So these are the two first designs that I have created. And these, let me go back to here. There we go. And these are the two designs. So we did find the color coding, thanks to Emily C. And these are the standard traditional t-shirts. Again, with some sayings. MazzaManiac, like people like to say they're a MazzaManiac. Other people like to call Massachusetts Massachusetts. So this is the first two standard t-shirts that are available. There's two designs right now that come in multiple apparel forms, including hats as well. So there are baseball caps or trucker caps that are available. So these are the t-shirts. And then they come in, one of the women that watches the show wanted a V-neck shirt. So we have a V-neck look as well. So this is a look at the V-neck. So I got that done as well. And everything comes in two forms. So MazzaManiac or Massachusetts. And again, the V-neck here, it has the MazzaMedia logo on the shirt right there for you. And then we have tank tops. Here are the MazzaMedia tank tops, MazzaManiac, Massachusetts. Then you have the hoodies. Again, everything's coming in both forms here. And then you have the heavyweight. These are like hoodies without the hood, like a winter type of shirt here. MazzaManiac, Massachusetts, and then the hats. And here's a look at one of the hats here, right there. Really, really good. And then the logo, basically everything's highlighted in red. And $25 for the baseball cap. Not bad there. Yeah, Massachusetts. What I'm curious about is whether Massachusetts or MazzaManiac are going to sell more. That's what I'm interested. This is to be determined. That's to be determined if I can do that in other shirt colors right now. So we're going to, this is the initial offering of items to start here. So everything, I might do like a red shirt eventually. We'll see. But we'll see if we get a red shirt. But this looks pretty nice here. Massachusetts hat. I saw some other hat variations. I didn't like them. I didn't like the one size fit all. So I went with this adjustment size cap, just like this, where you can adjust your cap size. So I went against the one size fit all. I also like the front of this hat a lot. So there were a couple different versions that they offered for a hat. Of all the hat designs, I like this one the best. And ultimately went with this right here for all of them. And there's your MazzaManiac shirt hat design right there. Baker Raid in the house. All right. Yep, so we got that. And for those of you just joining us now, the MazzaMedia merchandise store is open. And the link is pinned to the top of the chat. And it is scrolling at the bottom of your screen as well. And yeah, we'll try to work with we'll try to work on a red shirt. I'm definitely gonna do a red shirt for sure at some point. For right now, this is kind of the week one reveal, version one reveal, and then we'll kind of All right, I'm back. Sorry about that, folks. I just had to bump myself out of the room there. All right, sorry about that. I was sharing the screen. I hit the back button on the StreamYard instead of on the other one. So yeah, we got the MazzaManiac hat. Other than Mary B, you might want to like a Mazza's book shirt, which is a 30 Rock reference I've learned. Yeah, red, white, and blue would be pretty nice as well. Yep, exactly. No aprons, no aprons. We'll work on that. 1 second. Okay, there we go. All right. So yes, we got yeah, kid put himself in timeout. That's integrity. Becky's like, let's get back to the topic that really matters, which is the merch store, I guess. Yeah. Hot grill summer. That's hot griddle summer, maybe. Yeah, we can work on that. I didn't do a MazzaMedia logo. I almost did it again. Maybe I'll move this to the left here. I didn't do a MazzaMedia logo shirt because I didn't like the way the logo was coming up on these shirts. I got this to look pretty good though. But when you get the shirt, the logo is going to have a little bit more of a darker patch there. It's almost going to have like a patch-like effect right there. We see the black background of the MazzaMedia logo on the shirt. That's going to be different than the shirt color. So just make note of that. But other than that, I tried to match that color up with the shirt as much as I could. But the color of our shirt and the color of the logo, I couldn't. We don't have long sleeve tees yet. But I can work on that. I'm going to make some notes about this. 1 second. Long sleeve tees. Let me get that merch store. Add long sleeve tees. Long sleeve t-shirts. Red shirts. We'll do red shirts. Maybe white shirts. And then someone said a coffee mug. So we can work on that. So we have a couple ideas. A couple ideas from the chat here. I'll try to work on those. Hats. Yep, hats are there. Yeah, I'll work on some stuff in the next week or two. My idea was to kind of get an initial amount of merchandise, and then from there, we'd start to kind of figure out what everybody was requesting, because everything's kind of by request essentially. So what I'm going to do is, like, this is the initial offering, like standard t-shirt, v-neck, tank top, hoodie, heavy shirt, and hat. So 6 different items so basically 12 items, 12 items with every item having 2 variations. So you got MazzaManiac or Massachusetts are your options. And then from there, we'll look what's in the house. Lauren's in the house. That's up to the store. So the store offers the product, and then I design my product. Is basically what ends up happening. Oh, thank you so much, Rami, for that purchase. A V-neck shirt. Did you get? I'm asking everybody, MazzaManiac or Massachusetts did you get? That's my question. Those are some options here. So I figure I'll try to put out more merchandise as the weeks go by, and then we can kind of work from there. So we'll just this will be the initial series 1 release, basically. I didn't have hats planned, but last Sunday I was a series of shirts where Mazza fights large chickens. You know what I wanted to do? I wanted to have a shirt where that's up to the store. I don't think they don't have that ability. I don't think I can. I wanted to add a picture of me and Noonan from the Kelsey Fitzsimmons verdict. Thank you, Rami. I wanted to add me and Noonan with the image. Remember the image of me during the verdict? But I don't want to add that because I don't know if there's a legality there, because of the fact that I'm adding an image of somebody else in a shirt I'm selling, and I'm also using an image from a news network. So I don't think I can do that. So I'm not releasing that shirt. So that was an idea I had. I know exactly. Well, MazzaManiac, that's exactly from Hulkamaniac. Exactly borrowed. Exactly. I was thinking about that idea too, that you have there, Half Hammer. Exactly. So we'll come up with some other ideas. Yeah, it would be funny. I wish I could. Like I said, but I don't think I can sell that image because I think Noonan would be able to file some kind of a claim that he was being sold on a shirt and I was profiting off of somebody else's likeness. So I don't think I can do that. If you look at a lot of the Turtleboy shirts, it's typically just him on the shirt and nobody else. So I don't think I would be permitted to do that. So that's why there will not be a shirt. I can't sell that product. So I got to be careful of what I do. So it would have been an awesome shirt. But again, what are you going to do? Then again, Barstool Sports did sell a shirt with Roger Goodell with a clown nose and got away with it. If you guys remember that. So, but I'm not going to take the risk. I'll just leave it alone. So yeah, I priced everything best I could here. So every product is just priced the same. So the hats are $25 each. No matter which version you get of this, it's $38 each. 30 each for the tank tops. What's interesting is that the pricing for the t-shirts and the tank tops, according to the store, they're actually priced these the same. And I found that interesting because these are long sleeves. There's actually more material. I don't know if they're using a different material for these tank tops, but they actually priced the base on this as the same, which was interesting to me. So there must be a different texture to this tank top than there is for this t-shirt. And then the hoodies came out good. I tried to size these up as much as I could here in terms of the logo. So there's your logo. Any shirt that's long sleeve doesn't have the MazzaMedia patch. The only ones that have the patch are these shirts here. So these ones come with the MazzaMedia patch, the t-shirts. Those are the only ones with the shirts. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think it's the fabric. That's why those tank tops are so much more priced up. But yeah, the MazzaMedia logo I've thrown on the t-shirts. Did it again. That's twice I've done. That's twice I've done. That's twice I've done that today. I'm trying not to do that, but I keep doing that repeatedly. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, folks. I keep hitting that back button instinctively. 1 second. Yeah, these came out good. Thank you, Lauren. I appreciate that. I put some time in these. And last weekend, I spent a lot of time just touching everything up to make it look as good as possible. So, yep, this is the standard t-shirt. And look, the color matches too. The color is really strong matching. The MazzaMedia logo red, the red on the shirt. And originally with this shirt, the design here, I was originally going to go with the design where Mazza was highlighted, outlined in white. So it was Mazza in red, highlighted in white, Massachusetts in white, highlighted in red. And I did change that, and I didn't like it. I thought it looked horrible. So I thought it looked really good when it was just like this, just like that. I thought it looked really sharp for everything. So basically the idea is that everything's highlighted in red. But you can't tell the difference between the red highlight and Mazza being in red. So I went with that look. And I thought this came out sharp. I like this look a lot. And it made a lot of sense to me when I did it. So I like this a lot. Really good look here. Looks really strong. Everything kind of has that red outline. Mazza in red, Massachusetts in white, MazzaMedia logo on the side. I like this design a lot. And then I did a lot of deciding about how high the logo would be. So I'm like, I'll have it about, chest length, obviously not too low. That came out good. So I was happy with this. I liked it a lot. I'm not sure which one I like more, quite honestly. I don't know. I kind of like them both in their own way. So right now that will be the two designs: MazzaManiac, Massachusetts, and then from there, people can decide what they want. Maybe throughout time we'll come out with more ideas, but right now we'll have just these. We'll just keep adding products for now, and people like it, let me know, and then we'll change the color variations and all that. And then I'm sure over time we'll come up with. Thank you so much for that, Other Mary B. Appreciate that. And it'll be good. It will be very, very good to see just these ideas. And again, we'll work more on the product availability to start, and then we'll see what ends up coming from this as time goes on. So that will be good. So good. So we're looking sharp so far. I see a couple orders have come through so far. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate that. Again, there's your MazzaMedia store right there. Yeah, the merch does take a lot of time. It was amazing, like how much time it took to kind of come up with these shirts. And, I'm like, okay, line them all up. And it's like the first thing is you come up with your design. Then you start to apply them to each product that you want to sell. And then you got to figure out what your audience wants and everything from there. and then you take it from there. So it's not too bad. Yeah, not too bad at all. Appreciate that, guys. Appreciate the purchases so far as well that are coming through. Thank you guys for that. And again, there it is, the MazzaManiac shirt right there. Right there, right there, right there. Not bad. The hoodies look pretty good. V-necks, the tank tops. So maybe the MazzaMedia Suns Out, Guns Out shirt, right? These are the Suns Out, Guns Out. 3XL and extra small for these shirts. And then I think the V-necks only go up so high, somebody was saying. Yeah, it only goes up to 2XL. That's not determined by me, just so you know. It's only determined by the store itself. They you design your product and then they print out what they have and all that. So there's another look at the shirt right there. Then it also says you may also like other versions of these shirts as well. So that is good. So not bad at all. So looking good so far and looking sharp. And not bad at all, ladies and gentlemen. Looking sharp, looking sharp. Happy with it. Yeah, it looks good. Thank you to everybody that's purchased something so far as well. I'm happy with it. Yeah, I was happy to reveal this store. And like last week, I wanted to release it, but I was kind of sitting there saying to myself, I want to kind of make sure I got the quality down. I was really double checking everything, like really finessing over the alignment, the sizing, the location of the logo, all that stuff. I was really kind of just fussing over that, just making sure it looked good. I'm hoping that this product comes out as good as possible when it's printed out by the store company as well. This comes from them, so your purchase from this store comes out through them. They will get that out to you. So it's not like I don't mail it out. I don't produce this shirt. It's basically, I basically partnered with this store. You purchase. It's like if I had an account on Amazon, you purchase through the Mazza store. They take care of you pay shipping to them. They ship it to you. It's basically I operate it, and then yeah. So for now, that's going to be worked on. Cups, something like that's going to be worked on. It takes a little bit to get the everything prepped out. So I have to just kind of like, I was kind of weighing between, having a lot of stuff initially or releasing the store. So MazzaMedia platform shoes. I think they do offer shoes in the store. So I had to weigh the good morning from the glare. It's just waking up. All right. The best part of waking up was with the Folgers in your MazzaMedia cup, right? That's the best part of waking up. You wanted a kiss from me on your hat? All right. Good to see Will the Glare here. Lauren, Common Sense Investigators here. Well, we're going over the shirts, man. The MazzaMedia merch store is open for a business. Happy to have this store opened up. Very proud of it. It's 2 p.m. 2 p.m. here on the East Coast. There's the MazzaMedia link right there for the MazzaMedia shop, fourthwall.com. But yeah, I figured just get some initial products out. And then from there, my music store was asking. Music to My Soul was asking. He says, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, exactly. Just get some initial products out. We can always just add to it. Get the initial store opened up. And then from there, I figured like what would happen too is once I showed the store, I think a lot of people would often recommend what they're interested in buying. So I said, I'll just put the shirts out and then maybe the hats. And then from there, the chat will kind of tell me what they want. You know what I mean? And typically when you present something like this, very quickly here, how about coffee cups? How about white shirts or red shirts? You know what I'm saying? So I'll take notes of that. And then I'll start to add those products as time goes on. So I'm making note of your recommendations, what you guys are interested in, and then we'll get those added hopefully in the next week if we can. So looking good so far. So yeah, the mugs sound like they're definitely so the truckers hats they have. Personally, I didn't like them. I can make them, but I didn't like them. I like the baseball hats. I'll add it to my review list. But yeah, they do have trucker caps. Originally, I was going to add a trucker cap, but I liked this baseball cap better. But I can make that. Oh, and I just did not wake up unless you count the mind-numbing time spent on X. Yeah. X is interesting. It's always interesting on X every day. It's like sometimes walking around on X is like walking around the city after midnight. You're like, nope, not going down that alley. Nope, not going. The amount of times I've almost responded to trolls and just hit the back button. Nope, not going to send that tweet. Not going to do it. That's good to hear. A member of the U.S. Cotton Trust Protocol, ensuring quality materials and responsible production. That's good to hear. That's what we want. I like the hats a lot. Yeah, but they do offer trucker hats. I just have basically what it is the store offers different products you can add your designs to. So you look at the things they offer, and then you add your design to it, then you add it to your store. So that's basically how it works. So it's like, for example, like a trucker cap, they offer that. I pick it, add the designs to it, add it to the store, and then we're off and running. So that is great news. So purchases are rolling in. Thank you guys so much for that. Appreciate that, guys. Thank you. All right, good. Yeah, so we got everything you need here for an initial rollout. Standard T-shirts, V-neck shirts, tank tops, suns out, guns out, hoodies. You got the heavy. This is a heavy long sleeve shirt. Someone wants a regular long sleeve shirt, so I'll work on that. The heavyweight long sleeve shirt. And then we got the hats. So 6 items to start. And then we'll move on from there as the time rolls on. That's funny. You wasted 2 hours of your life this morning arguing with someone named Bang Yui. Interesting. Sounds good. I appreciate that, Half Hammer. Thank you so much. We should have the QVC people up here to be like, yes, that's a wonderful shirt. I don't go jogging in the morning unless I'm wearing my Massachusetts t-shirt. Yes. And they also have hats. You got to wear your MazzaMedia shirt or hat. QVC. Does QVC still exist? Or the Home Shopping Network? Does that still exist? I don't know. That's funny. But yeah, thank you guys for the purchases so far. Appreciate that. Store's open 24/7, as you know, just like any website. By the way, Mazza, after watching one of your grilling videos, more of my video suggestions were about that style of grill. So I wanted to thank you for your impact on my algorithm. Yeah, my whole algorithm right now is Blackstone griddles. That's like my whole algorithm as well. Exactly. Yeah. I secretly mock the forensic show in my own time. Like I secretly do from time to time. I just go, yes. Oh, yes. Karen Reed's guilty, Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, for sure. Yes. Oh, my goodness. Yes. Karen Reed did it. Yes. By the way, anybody that says anybody else that said Karen Reed did it, that's defamation. But there's nothing wrong with us saying that Karen Reed did it. Yes. That's how their whole show sounds. Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, I agree. Yes. It's defamation if you say it anybody other than Karen Reed did it. But if you say that, it's okay to say Karen Reed did it. Yes. Unbelievable. That's wild stuff. Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, exactly. That's how their whole show sounds. All the time. It's like, we can come on this show and say Karen Reed did it all day, and that's not defamation. But if anybody else says anybody other than Karen did it, that's defamation. Yes. Yes. Oh, my goodness. Yes. 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 It's just nuts. It's wild stuff. Oh, my goodness. Yep. All right. So that's the store. That's the merch store. It's open. Thank you guys for your purchases so far. I do appreciate that. And that's fantastic. And I'll add more products as time goes on. All right. So let's talk about the New York Knicks briefly here. There was some New York Knicks videos that surfaced yesterday. And the New York Knicks fans took to the streets of New York, as you'd imagine. I was looking up video footage of